overstated. I mean, effective service delivery is very critical to the building of trust between citizens and government, to even promote economic development. To promote any type of development whatsoever, there is a need for that trust to be built, right? And then, of course, improving the overall well-being of citizens is also another thing as an added advantage. But by exploring the intersection of OGP and SERVICOM, we're hoping to, by the end of this conversation, right, identify opportunities for improvement as well as develop strategies for enhancing service delivery in Nigeria. You best want to keep your ears out now. And remember that we are live across social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube precisely, so you can get on there and leave a message in the comment section, right? Yes, let's look at this already and start off with the conversation. How do you think that OGP's principles of transparency, participation, and accountability can be leveraged to improve service delivery in Nigeria?
For this question and the opportunity to have this discussion. The OGP has 4 principles.
4?
Yeah. It's OGP stands for Open Government Partnership.
Yeah.
And it has 4 major principles that it operates on.
Okay.
Which include transparency, accountability, citizen participation, and then technology, improving services and technology.
Okay. If you don't mind, Mrs. Lucy,
Yes.
you might want to, project your voice just a little bit, because we just got a signal that your voice is a bit, Okay. Yeah.
So like I mentioned,
Yes.
it operates on 4 major principles that has to do with transparency, accountability, citizen participation, and then technology, leveraging on technology and innovation. It is an initiative that came about since 2011. Excuse me. Nigeria got to join in 2016 as the 70th country. And the beauty about this initiative,
Yes.
it encourages co-creation. That is, you come to the round table between the citizens and the government to discuss areas that need to be improved on. And it works through the instrumentality of a framework called the National Action Plan, right? And Nigeria, since we joined, we have operated 3 National Action Plan.
Already,
yeah. The current one will soon end this month, and then we're also in the process of developing the 4th National Action Plan. And the process of development brings the citizens, in the space. Discussing government is about the citizens, so they have to have a say in it. So through organized civil society, private partnership, and other groups, we come on the round table. We also, what we're able to discuss, brainstorm in line with the priority of government for improved governance and citizens' satisfaction.
Right.
We'll also put it out there for them to make their comments, to guide the selection of those commitments that will be inculcated in the National Action Plan.
So I keep hearing we, and I guess we skipped the most important question, and that would be my bad, right? What is SERVICOM, and why is it important for public service in Nigeria? I think that's where we should have really hinged it on from. But the other question too is relatively important as well. You might want to tell us what SERVICOM is.
Well, SERVICOM stands for Service Compact with All Nigerians. And I want to give you just a brief history due to the fact of the time.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, it came about when the then dispensation, the President Obasanjo, put up a committee in collaboration with the UK government to carry out a service-wide audit to find out the state of service delivery in Nigeria. And at the end of that report, there was a report. At the end of that audit, there was a report called the roadmap. And the summary of that report was that either services were not there at all, or where they are, they were poor in quality. So what was the solution? After a retreat with members of FEC and the EDS and all that, SERVICOM was born. And given that mandate to promote service excellence in ministry, departments, and agency.
Right.
So that's what SERVICOM stands for. And we do this through a very important tool called the Service Charter. Yeah.
You want to tell us a bit about it? Service Charter?
Yeah, the Service Charter is the instrument of performance enhancement. What it does is that it picks out the mandate of an organization, breaks it down into services, attaching standards with regards to timeline, cost, if there is any, and then even when there is there's a redress mechanism contained in it. So if a citizen needs to assess a service of a particular NDA that have a service charter, the services are there, very clear, and then the standards are there to measure performance. For instance, if a service has a cost in it, it is expected that it should be stated in the service charter. That way, you avoid this hidden cost. The person, the service taker approaching to assess the service, to receive the service, already know the timeline within which the service is supposed to be delivered, and then the cost implications, so that there won't be hidden costs.
So everything is transparent.
Exactly, which connects with the principles of
OGP.
It has to do with transparency and accountability. And even the process of developing the service charter is also involved that co-creation, because we do what we call stakeholder validation of these standards before it is finally launched for implementation.
Of OGP strengthen the implementation of the SERVICOM charter.
Well, because those principles, SERVICOM has been part of implementation.
Right.
A state actor in NAP 2, 3, and now currently we're developing NAP 4.
Wow.
So everything has to do is a singular thread that runs through all this commitment, which has to do with what? Service delivery. So our mandate that promotes service excellence, overriding a cause for service delivery is citizen customer satisfaction. Right? So now, through the instrumentality of the Service Charter, we're able to demonstrate at the international platform that this OGP has given us, working with some pilot NDAs, about 17 of them, reviewing their charter. For those that didn't have developed this charter, for those that have, we reviewed their charter so that the standards will be up to current, and we demonstrated through this charter, what we call the Service Charter Performance Framework, to monitor the implementation and to measure the level of satisfaction by the citizens.
Right.
Yeah, and then I also want to add that the Service Charter, it's a performance enhancement tool that has to have commitment from the very top.
From the top.
From the top, the management. So it has a forward committing to serve the people from that agency. Then it has the service standards, and then the redress mechanism, and then performance monitoring and reporting.
And all of these things are still effective up until today. Well, you're still listening to Eagle's Morning Rises Breakfast Show, and yes, this is the OGP time where we look into open government partnerships. And yes, we have our guest who is right here and giving us some very, very strong, delightful conversation as to what the OGP represents, as well as the SERVICOM, and how they intertwine together to make, the open government partnership even more better. She's in the person of Mrs. Lucy M. Zach Uko, right? As she's the team leader, OGP state actor at the SERVICOM office presidency. It might also amaze you to know that when I had my NYC, I was under the SERVICOM, and yes, there was a lot in that regard. Maybe that's why I can really connect with this conversation, because lateness was also part of, late, you don't come late. SERVICOM, no. But anyways, though, let's look at some of these other, angles to it, right? Now, can you give us an example of how OGP has led to better service delivery in Nigeria?
Well, like I said, OGP, Nigeria joined as far back as 2016.
Yes.
And there are certain, and then the National Action Plan usually has an implementation time frame. Normally we have been operating that of 2 years. So at the end of every implementation time frame, we are being assessed by the international review monitors, and through that I can list that for instance the FOI That's
Yeah, Freedom of
Information
Freedom
Act
of Information Act. Yeah,
2021
yeah,
is one of
yeah.
the major achievements
Yeah.
that was done through the OGP. And that way,
No, it came really.
yeah, it was, yeah,
From the OGP.
from the OGP.
That's where we got the effort.
Yes, because then the secretariat was even domiciled in Federal Ministry of Justice. So the Attorney General was the main state actor there.
Yes.
So it facilitated, the passing of the bill into law.
Wow.
So this freedom of information give access for citizen participation to demand for information, that should be given to them where it is not ordinarily displayed,
okay.
yes, and all. And they also have the angle of beneficial ownership.
Oh.
That has to do with the CAC, to promote transparency, because you have so many companies, right? So who are the real owners? So this beneficial ownership sort of lifts the veil, to see who are the real owners of this company, that are not people that are just fronting, for others, to the European Nigerian of, and then also very important, OGP also promoted this open budgeting, participatory budget, whereby it brings by ministries and even some state governments, encouraging citizen participation during the budgetary circle, because by the time they call, if citizens are involved in the formulation and the circle, they will understand why, and then the citizen will be able to monitor, the implementation of those programs that are budgeted for.
Yeah, well, you spoke in comprehensive wisdom, but what do you think might be some of the challenges in implementing OGP and SERVICOM, especially at the grassroots?
Yeah, at the grassroots. Very, very key, because we can sit in an air-conditioned room.
That's right.
That's right. Space and brainstorm, which is very easy
which
to
is,
brainstorm,
indeed,
right?
Indeed, I agree.
Taking it down to where it really matters, right? Those challenges has to do with buy-in. By key stakeholders. We operate a federal state.
Yeah.
So the beauty about OGP is that even if Nigeria was not a member country, state and even local government can join at that level. Yes, that's the beauty about. So if buy-in by those key stakeholders, for instance, if it is at the state level, the governor, the chief executive officers, if it's at the local government, those that are in charge, and then engaging the community, like there's need to be more awareness. There's not enough awareness of what all this initiative or the commitments, or what the commitments are meant, to drive. And then one of the major principles of the OGP is using technology and innovation. Right. So we cannot do away with digital governance these days. So access, going down to the grassroots is also one of the challenges that we face. And then getting people like reform champions, capacity, people
builders,
to build, to build capacity so that there can be proper monitoring and reporting, to the Secretariat and for full implementation.
Right. So what measures are in place to ensure public institutions comply with service standards?
The measures that we try in SERVICOM is we have a national presence through what we call the Ministerial SERVICOM unit. It's a structure.
Okay.
Yes, especially at the national level, right? So the Ministerial SERVICOM unit has 3 decks. We have the service charter decks. We have the customer relation complaint decks.
Okay.
We also have the service improvement decks, and then this deck, the unit has been headed by who we call the nodal officer that relates directly with the SERVICOM office. So this unit, are in charge in each ministry departments that have them to monitor, the implementation of the service delivery initiative. And then you have the service charter, an MDA has a service charter, you have the standards there. So aside from the units, you also have what we call the SERVICOM committee. So the idea is appointment from each department of that agency, a focal SERVICOM person that will drive down service improvement at the departmental level, and then reports to brainstorm on how to go about it. Another mechanism we have is very important, is SERVICOM compliance evaluation.
And what is it about?
Well, it's a survey. We
Oh,
have the
okay.
mandate.
Okay.
We have also a scientific index that we use to measure the level of customer satisfaction
Yeah.
of the services. So we can pick. In fact, we recently evaluated NYC that you mentioned. Yeah. So the report is going to be presented very soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So we
Okay.
assess the level of customer satisfaction of those services that the MDA, offers, and then we grade, we give the scores, and then we present to the CEO, and then after that we carry out what we call service improvement planning training, so that we develop service improvement plan, and then if they follow through, with the recommendations, there will definitely be visible improvement.
So let me ask a question that is burning in the heart of the listener right now. When such reports are made, are they made public? Do we have our hands on it? Or do we have to go and through the FOI again and say, please, give us this thing? We demand it.
They are very much public. They are very much public on our website.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and then during the presentation, we also call the media. So
There's a media parley.
Yes, there's a media parley.
Okay.
That represent
Okay.
it, yeah.
Awesome. And I hope it's not also limited to just the NYSC you mentioned. Do you run it across every other?
Close to 100 ministry departments and agencies over the years. In fact, this week, the reason why we're supposed to be on the field to evaluate Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. Right, but then it has been rescheduled, so I'm opportunity to be
here.
Yes.
I get that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw this one in. It might not be a regular, but then the question will be SERVICOM, right? SERVICOM. Service Compact, you call it, yeah? What exactly is SERVICOM's responsibility? And how relevant is it in this entire OGP conversation? What is the core of SERVICOM? If I'm to mention SERVICOM to a friend now, I say, SERVICOM came to the office. What is the core thing you want to tell the listener right now about SERVICOM exactly?
Now, SERVICOM, when you hear the word SERVICOM,
you
should think about improved service delivery.
Improved service delivery.
Promotion of service excellence. That is our mandate. We have the mandate to promote service excellence in ministry, departments, and agencies.
Okay.
And as we all know, that excellence is a journey, right? So the biggest room in the world is that of improvement.
That's true.
So we're at it.
Okay. Anyway, so what you're saying in essence is that should we discover that ministries, departments, and agencies are not in their functionalities, we should be able to also call out SERVICOM and say, SERVICOM, what's going on now? To look into these things, help us so that we can indeed have that transparency and bridge the gap between the leaders as well as the followers. Right now, but let's go to this one here now. What measures are in place to ensure public institutions comply with service standards? What are those measures in place just to ensure that these institutions indeed comply to service standards?
Well, like I said earlier, we try to ensure that these MDAs have their service charter.
Okay.
It is when they have the service charter
you mentioned that
we can hold them accountable.
Accountability,
because the service taker will now know, the services. The service charter in summary, it tells you what the MDA is, what it does, how it does it, when it does it, and the event it does not do what it promised to do, then you have also a redress mechanism stated there, how you can get redress. Because yes, you may try your best, but then there are gaps. We're all human. So when there's service delivery gaps or service failure, service recovery is also very important. So there's also a mechanism for that. So where they are not satisfied at the service point, that's where the MDA is, where they receive the service, they can escalate the complaints.
So you're talking about
the SERVICOM office.
You're talking about how the public can engage the OGP or SERVICOM now.
Yes.
Oh, this is the process.
Yeah.
So when they fail, when there's a fallout, they can still engage through the appropriate channels.
And then
that's possible.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
We've been doing it.
Okay.
We've been doing it. Complaints coming to us, and then we engage the appropriate MDAs. We follow up to, facilitate resolution. Now, we are not the service provider. SERVICOM is not the service provider. It is the ministry, departments, and agencies that are the service providers. For instance, if you go to the hospital and then you are not satisfied with the treatment at the hospital, SERVICOM is not, the hospital, but there's a SERVICOM desk. Staff of that ministry, departments, and agency. That's the unit that we call. There's a SERVICOM desk that the complainant can approach. And if they're not satisfied, they can still write to us at the headquarters, so that we'll follow up to resolution.
So you hear that already. If you've been one of such persons that say, yeah, these guys, they are up there. How can we really get to them? We can't get to them now. They are in their ACs and all of that. SERVICOM is saying that we are at every ministry, department, and agency right there. So if you have your complaints and all of that, you are not satisfied with a service delivery, you can get to the help desk, right, which is situated in all of these ministries, departments, and agencies. And if that one is not enough, still write us. How do we contact you now? If we're going to write you, because you said you can write us, so you still get to the help desk and get the details on it.
If you go to our website.
What's the website?
Our website.
Yeah.
It's SERVICOM Nigeria.gov.ng.
SERVICOMNigeria.gov.ng. Now you heard that already. So you can put all of your complaints out there, and they will do justice to that. Well, finally, though, what do you say, or the person who's listening now, on how to enhance service delivery in Nigeria?
Yeah, I also want to, before I give that, I want to add to the fact that, in SERVICOM, we have been training and retraining public servants to deliver service at their best. But then the service charter, it's a document that is a tool that manages expectation. So the citizens also have their responsibility.
We have a role to play.
Yes. If you are seeking for a service, you have to furnish all that is required, before that service can be delivered. So if, like for instance, you need issuance of license, then if there's a need for application, payments, all that needs to be done. You meet up with your responsibility. And then for citizens as well, when we demand for services, we should also play our role. Let me give you an instance. Where we feel that, there's a need for improving environmental, environment in a particular place. Now you discover that maybe there's a lot of floods going on. Then government decided let's go and establish drainage system. So the citizen's responsibility now has to do with ensuring that this drainage system don't become rough is dump. You understand? So we have our own role to play. So it's very important that we as citizens will also, when assessing service, we should be polite. Although there are some customers that can be very difficult.
They said
the customers are always right.
Saying,
so the train, that's how we train and
we train.
We train people to how to handle difficult customers. So on the final, I would say that service delivery is a shared responsibility, as I've just mentioned. So as a citizen to be informed, they should ask questions. We have a slogan that you have the right to be served right in SERVICOM, and then give feedback. And feedback doesn't necessarily have to be about complaints. Right? Feedback, if you assess the service and you are wowed by it, give feedback that wow, I was really happy about that. Then complaint, as we usually say, is free consultation for service improvement. So every agency should welcome that. And the government must in turn be responsive, open, and committed to improvement. And together with through OGP and SERVICOM, we can build a Nigeria where public services truly serve the people.
All right, you heard it already. And as she is rightfully said, before you start even laying complaints and giving feedbacks that are mostly negative, have you satisfied your own, charter? Everybody has a charter now. SERVICOM is a charter, but then have you satisfied your own expectations? What is expected of you? Have you certified it? Have you bought the forms? Have you done the necessary? Because that's the only way that what you have to say will hold water. But when it doesn't, you're complicit. In one way, you're failing in the other way, and all of that. Then little or not a lot that can be done, if I understand you correctly. Now, in conclusion, enhancing service delivery through OGP and SERVICOM building trust between citizens and the government, promoting economic growth, as well as improving overall well-being of citizens. As we have explored the intersection between the OGP and the SERVICOM, we're already seeing that great opportunities are there for improvements, develop strategies, as well as enhance service delivery in Nigeria can also be seen from the Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then you can take it all through because it's a progressive. You rightfully said something, and nobody is perfect. No system will be perfect. But indeed, SERVICOM is saying that even in the journey towards perfection, we keep learning, relearning, training, retraining, and that's how it goes. And that's what it is. Well, thank you so much for stepping into the studio this morning, Mrs. Lucy M. Zach Uko. I wouldn't forget that part, the Uko part, right? You are the team leader, OGP state actor at the SERVICOM office, presidency, and your expertise has indeed brought about, some light beaming, into the topical issue which borders around enhancing service delivery through OGP and the SERVICOM Charter. I look forward to seeing more of you.
Service Charter, let me
okay.
cover that.
Service Charter.
Service Charter.
Service Charter.
Yeah.
Charter. Okay, awesome. This is what we call it a close, though. But thank you so much for giving ears to this. We appreciate you. And until we come your way, same time, same station, when it should come, you already know that this process is not an